welcome to Scattercast. I'm Travis, and as always, I'm here with Ray. And it's sort of a part two, but not really. But more Magic stuff has just come out. And previous episode...
we literally did this episode 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I just finished editing it today. And you still haven't even watched the rough draft because I just sent it to you.
Yeah.
But more stuff has dropped. I even found some stuff that I was, I wanted to pick your brain about. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. We'll flash it on the screen. The slime cards, the prime slimes, or the prime slime, those 5 super slime, the slick slimes or whatever, they're only being sold for 48 hours. You have to get...
Oh, is this a secret vault or a secret lair?
Yeah, secret lair.
Wait a minute. I haven't even... Breaking news on the Magic front. I don't even think I've heard of this.
Dude, telling you, man, my Instagram's got me on lockdown, dude.
All right, so
they got my information.
Is it called Secret Lair Slimes, maybe?
Yeah.
No longer available.
Oh,
it's
dude.
fine. I can get them. I'll buy them in single form.
But
because the one I want is
are they really expensive? How much were they?
It was $30 for the set.
Yeah, it's too rich for my blood.
So I've got one. I bought this one on
okay.
It was the Women's Day. It comes in a box like this.
Yeah.
But this one was the International Women's Day 2020.
Nice.
So it was cool. It had like it has
now does the money go to charity or something?
This one did. This one
That's
went
cool.
to charity. Not all of them do.
Okay.
But I would have liked to have gotten this whole what is it, 5 card set.
I'm not going to save stuff anymore. I'm just going to send it to you then, not have like little surprises. So
I'll get the one. So this one right here, the Mimeoplasm.
Yeah, this one's awesome.
That was my very first EDH deck,
and
I still bust it out every once in a while. So I want that one that'll probably be the most expensive one out of all of them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get it. I'm sorry, I feel like a dick.
No, don't worry about it, dude. You can get these things in single form, like down the road once they come out.
Yeah, those look awesome. That's like the old school 70s.
That's actually a really good. That's actually a really good price for some of these, though.
Yeah,
like some of them are really expensive, but $30 for a. But you know what though? It's not. Don't feel bad that you didn't send it to me because it's my fault. Because I literally saw like 2 days ago a thing pop up on my YouTube feed that was like something about like a new secret lair kind of secretly dropped last night or something like that, and I could have clicked on it and I was like, oh, I'll go back to that later and watch something else. So
sorry, I've came across it a couple times. Actually jumped in line on accident, and it's just like, don't move away from this page if you're in line. I was like, well, shit, I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, because when that stuff drops, it's like you go into their website, you get in a queue,
and
then
it's like buying concert tickets.
You just wait, and if you jump out or do something. We talked about slimes.
Yeah.
And then the newest hotness is this double masters thing.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of a shit show, but it's
because I haven't seen anything from Double Masters, but I saw Return to Zendikar. That's what it is called?
Is it Zendikar Rising?
Yeah,
maybe?
Zendikar Rising. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next set on the horizon.
I've been seeing previews for that. So
yeah. So the Master Series is something that started back a few years back. There's a I forgot to mention one format. Well, I probably forgot to mention a couple formats, but when we were talking about formats in the last episode, like how you've got Legacy and Standard and stuff like that, but they've got a format that's called Modern, which is everything from 8th edition forward. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to have a format that was eternal, like Legacy, but with no reserve list. And what the reserve list is a list of cards that they came up with years ago, because when they were coming out back in the day, Magic was uber popular and they didn't have the printing capabilities that they do now. Mm-hmm. So even back then, like things were like these cards were hard to come by.
Yeah.
So to protect the secondary market, and keep people from being upset because they're like, look, I don't I don't want to, invest my money in these cards and have this new set come out 4 months down the road, and then these are obsolete.
Yeah.
Or you reprint them. So they came up with a list. There's dozens of cards that are on this list. It's called the reserve list. And so these are cards in Magic history that they're not allowed to reprint ever. And so those cards are uber expensive though, because if you want that card, you can only get a version that's out there in the secondary market, and you're looking at cards that are over 20 years old.
Yeah.
So they came up with Modern, because everything that's from 8th edition forward is there's nothing that's on the reserve list. But Modern is still, based on being a competitive format, it's still very expensive to get in, because basically what it did is it took some of the cards like the fetch lands and stuff like that from World Wake and Zendikar, Zendikar, original Zendikar, and it just made those cards go through the roof, because they're so back. Don't know my exact timeline, but essentially they created a product that was called Modern Masters, and it was booster packs that had viable reprints for Modern, and every pack contained a foil, like a guaranteed foil card, and they had like some really expensive cards in there. Like one of them was Tarmogoyf, what was like always an expensive card, but now you can get like a foil version of it. So I remember the very first draft I ever did was the very first Modern Masters set that came out, and they did a Modern Masters draft at my local game store, and you paid like I think it was like $30 or something, because the packs were like $10 a piece. You paid your like $30 entry fee, and they actually like strategically put like me, Doug, and like somebody else that's like, one of like the, at the time, like we were like the well-known people at the shop at different tables for the draft, because there was like a big fear that somebody was going to like open up like a really good card and just be like, oh, I'm scooping and I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it's, if you got like say you got like a $40 card in your rare slot, and then your foil slot was like a foil Tarmogoyf, you might not, you gotta choose now. Like I can't take both. I gotta pick one and pass it. So they were afraid that somebody was gonna like derail the draft or whatever, but that never really came to fruition. But,
take cards and run out.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to, like, you have to draft all the way until the end. Then once the draft is over, if you decide that, and they're also worried about theft too. Like they wanted to make sure we counted like the packs and made sure to like nobody tried to like pocket two cards. Like we just need to keep a very close eye on it, because at the time.
Oh, this is back. Okay.
This was the original Modern Masters.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to talk about what these.
But no, because you were talking about it in the sense of like you guys running your own show, running your own draft.
Oh no, this was a draft at the shop.
Okay.
So this was a draft. Pods were separated to where there was like at least in each pod, there was a trust, like somebody from the shop that they would give the keys to. Yeah,
because you used to you'd help out and would work there and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's what they did, and it went off. It was fine. I don't think there was anything like crazy that went on or anything. But I just remember back then that like that was like the first thing that was coming out that like people were like really kind of losing their shit over. Like, oh my god, like this master set or whatever. So they've had other ones since then. They've had them, several iterations of the Modern Masters. Then they've had Eternal Masters, which was kind of like the same thing. Like it added stuff in to like the Legacy format. They've had Iconic Masters, which was a dud because we thought it was going to be like some of the most iconic cards of like.
When you name it Iconic Masters,
it was stuff like like Shivan Dragon, which is like an iconic card per se, but like when I think iconic cards, I think like Jace the Mind Sculpt, things like that, like these cards,
something that lives on beyond the game itself, where you wouldn't have to play the game to know it. You know what I mean?
Right. So I don't know the whole story behind the Double Masters thing as far as like what everybody's upset about. I just know that they came out with like a VIP version, and it's like $100 a pack, and there was like a little bit of like a bait and switch with it, where they told you like it was going to be certain, like only like certain cards, but then they were like, oh wait, no, it could also have like uncommons in the foil or something like that, and
you get a nice foil land.
Yeah, but the thing that's cool about the double masters is that it's you get 3 15 card packs like just like normal, but the cool thing about it is that each pack has 2 rares, so rares are mythic, and 2 foil cards.
Okay.
So I don't know how. I mean, obviously, it's like a very highly unlikely scenario, but theoretically, you could open a pack with 4 rares in it because you could have your rare and your rare or mythic rare and your 2 rare spots, and you could luck out and your 2 foils could be a
rare card.
So,
yeah. Interesting.
And they've gone back and they've reprinted like some of like the really cool cards from the past. So that's what the master sets are. The master sets are just they're made to be drafted. They're draft sets. You know, people go and they can draft them, or you can just buy the packs, just open them to try to get like the lottery ticket. You know, like foil Jason Mind Sculptor or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're just a way to boost the secondary market as far as like, I don't want to say boost it, that's the wrong term. It's basically a way to get an influx of these harder to get cards into the wild, so people have a higher chance of getting their hands on them.
Does the secondary market in a way kind of hinder Magic from doing certain things? Is it like
the secondary market definitely hinders as far as like what we refer to as buy-in. So if you're wanting to get into a certain format, the secondary market is gonna drive that, because it's almost like any other thing. It's the guy with the big with the big wallet is the one that's gonna have like the better decks. So like if you're like someone like me, and I'm a bad example because I've got a large collection, so I could always sell stuff off to buy into the legacy format. But say, just use me as an example. I'm like an older guy. I've played the game forever. I remember it back when in high school. And if I wanted to get into Legacy, because I'm like, I want to do this broken ass shit with these old cards and stuff like that, it is an extremely hard thing to get into the Legacy format.
Yeah.
Because just the lands that you need to play that are like $400, $500, $600 a piece. I mean, a Legacy deck, it could be like upwards of $8,000 to $10,000 to build a Legacy deck if you don't already have those cards.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like,
but it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Commander. It's like Commander or EDH. It took that format took cards that were literally like bulk 50-cent rares, and turned them into like all-stars overnight, because they were like cards that are only good in a format like that. Things I was
just wondering.
So the secondary market is a hindrance, but really only for competitive play.
Okay.
Because even like in EDH, like we don't give a shit. Like our play group, if you say there's a $30 card that you really want to try out in your deck and you just don't have the means, dude, like put a proxy in.
But
like,
it seems weird. It seems weird so much with Magic and maybe it's because you use those cards to play. Maybe that's where it comes in.
I was just getting ready to say that.
It's like where a comic book, like no one who collects comics gets mad because when, Endgame comes out, Marvel reprinted, these comics that I forget the name of them, but they were like, this certain edition, and it was like, a Silver Surfer issue that was important to the Thanos story. It was a Infinity Gauntlet story, because they were labeled in a certain way that no collector. They were $1. They were worth probably 10 cents. You know what I mean? In the secondary market. Maybe it's because you're not playing those things. That's where the secondary market gets angry if you pre-printed cards.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is and I've explained this to people before.
Yeah.
What makes Magic cards valuable?
Yeah.
So I'll use like a sports card analogy and Magic card analogy.
Yeah.
So I could have a Barry Sanders rookie card, and that card may be worth $100. We'll say, you know what I mean? But that card is only worth $100 if I take a picture of it, put it on eBay, and there's another Barry Sanders or Lions fan out there
that wants that card
and is willing to pay $100 for it. But we watched that documentary. I don't know if you watched it, that documentary about the guy that like tried to go around and sell his baseball card collection.
It's a really good documentary. It's really sad because it's different than what you kind of think it is.
Because everything's so like in the trading card market, everything is so watered down. And it is that aspect of that sports memorabilia, that thing has to be worth something to somebody. And I'm going to get to my point because someone out there right now is like, well, you can say the same thing about Magic cards, whatever, but I'm getting to that. So it's the same thing like anything else, like classic cars. Like, a classic, Corvette may be worth $80,000, but it's only worth $80,000 to the guy or gal out there that wants that, cherry red classic Corvette that they remember driving.
Anything
as a
you
kid.
Own is only worth it to what it's. Right. It has the value, but only if it's valuable to somebody else.
What sets Magic cards apart and why they're so valuable and so easy to sell? Like, I'm telling you right now, without a doubt, I could open up these cards right here, and if I got something out of this that says it's worth $20, I could turn around and I'm not going to get the full 20, and that's a whole nother story because I remember a story about my friend that was like, he had a card that said it was worth $20. He went to a card shop, tried to get $20 for it, and they're like, no, we'll give you $8. And he's like, well, it's worth 20. And he's
we need money.
No, I'm giving you $8 for it.
Yeah.
You only spent $3 to get the pack that isn't, so you're making money. I got to be able to turn around and sell this thing and make a profit, whatever. Yeah. But and what sets that apart is exactly what you said, is because right now, well, not right now during COVID, but for the sake of argument, every weekend somewhere in
America,
the world, there is Magic tournaments for money being played. And at the end of the day, what's different with Magic and baseball cards and football cards and stuff like that is that this is an actual game.
Yeah.
And these cards comprise 12,000 different, 12,000 plus interchangeable pieces.
Yeah.
And so in order to play the game, if you want to build your blue-white walls deck or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to get your blue-white walls. Yeah. And so that's what makes it.
That explained it. That's a really good thing for.
Plus, you get the internet. So right now, you can go to like MTG Goldfish, you can go to like all these different places, and it's like if there's a tournament on Saturday, and the winning deck is, say it's Black Red Vampires.
Yeah.
They're gonna post that list, and every single person out there that is in the Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, they're gonna look at that, and maybe they're gonna want, because I even did this. I would look at decks and stuff like that because I wanted to beat my friend, and I wasn't even going and playing in professional tournaments because I was like, I want to get like, oh wow, that Black Red Vampires deck looks really cool. So then you're like, well, I got to get this card and that card to make the Black Red Vampire or make similar to it. You got to get them cards somewhere.
Yeah. And
so that's where you'll see a card that's worth $3 today all of a sudden become $8, become $15, become $20, because it's like anything else. It's like, okay, we'll just use Card Kingdom as an example because I really like Card Kingdom for the secondary market for selling cards. They have a certain stock of, we'll just say Jace the Mind Sculptor, because you kind of know that one. So Jace the Mind Sculptor this week, their stock that they're moving periodically, they're selling that card for $80.
Yeah.
So that's what they're keeping it at. All of a sudden, Jace the Mind Sculptor becomes the new hotness on Friday night after the tournament, and people go out there and they buy out the last remaining 30 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor at $80. What is Card Kingdom going to do? They're going to immediately start listing their new product at, say, $95.
Yeah.
And that starts selling, and it sells out at $95. They're going to start selling at $110. And so, and the next thing you know, the card goes from 80 to 150 in just a few days. And that's how this works. And it's even worse for the cards that are on the reserve list.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. There's a card called Gaia's Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to use my phone for a second because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I just found this out the other day.
Okay.
And I was like about shitting my pants. So there's a card called Gaia's Cradle. It's on the reserve list. I bought my Gaia's Cradle about 4 years ago for $35. And the reason why it's $35 is because it has just a little teeny nick up, so it's not quite
where it got
nicked,
cut wrong.
But I got it for about $35-$40. Yep. Right now, currently, you can get a copy of Gaia's Cradle on TCG Player for $560.
Wow.
So that card that I bought for $35 is now $560. So now there's a part of me that's like, do I sit on it and see if it goes up a little more, or do I just get off of it now because I'm not going to sit on $500 with the cardboard?
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of
paper.
I'm getting rid of it. Yeah.
Well, see, and the way you explain it makes perfect sense because there is a sport, a card, and there's money being, exchanged from, winning these competitions. There's professional players. There's like a sport around that makes why the secondary market is so important. Right. I was coming in it from a video game kind of player perspective of, why why collectors get so angry when, like classic games or like games that are rare get like digital releases or re-releases. Because it's like, devalues and stuff.
Well, I get that aspect.
I mean, but it doesn't really because someone's always. Because just like a comic book, you have the form of that thing in a unique way that somebody else doesn't, and there's always going to be people who it might take the price down a little bit in the beginning, but there's going to be a kid who downloads Grandia 2 HD collection to say and might want to find the Dreamcast and play it on the Dreamcast, or because I remember there was people like kind of angry that the Super Nintendo Mini. Because from top to the bottom, you know what I mean? Earthbound is a $300 game, most likely, depending on the condition. Final Fantasy 3, or no, it would be Earthbound. Mario RPG is right underneath that. That's, easily a $100 game upwards, you know what I mean? Yeah. Then Final Fantasy 3, then maybe Secret of Mana is probably $30. There's probably a few that are like, it kind of drops pretty quickly after those first two into like $30 games, but like there's probably like $1,000 worth of aftermarket games, on that little machine. So people were kind of like, whoa, my piece of plastic's going down in value. It's just like, well, buy a couple, destroy them, because then it's value back up, because that's what DC was doing for a lot of times. They're buying old collections of beat up comics and destroying them, because then it makes good versions of that comic more valuable.
But you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, are you sitting on this stuff because it is an investment for you, or do you just like the idea of having that expensive thing? Because you use the comic book thing as a perfect example, and I'm just going to use figurative numbers here.
Yeah,
but I would go back to like, okay, think of something like The Walking Dead #1.
Yeah.
Say, for instance, I don't even know what, but does it say, for instance, like a Walking Dead #1 is worth $200 because it's a franchise that and so you got a Walking Dead #1 and you're like, dude, this is kick ass. I have this Walking Dead. I can get the irritation if all of a sudden Image came out and said, we're going to reprint the first 50 issues of The Walking Dead, so the people that got into it, have a chance to go back and buy those.
Yeah.
Now that's kind
of. We're not going to change them. We're just reprinting the same.
Yeah, you can go back and get them like an omnibus or whatever. I get that, but just figure. So I can understand like the person that's like, well, motherfucker, my original, $200 freaking thing is probably only going to be worth like $100 now. But that's a whole nother thing, because here's the thing. Those things may lose value.
Yeah.
But they're not going to go down tremendously. And that's one of the things I was going to talk about, this double masters thing, because everybody thinks like, oh, great, they reprinted this again. Okay, I will give you. I'm going back to here again.
But real quick, while you look that up, but like,
you keep going.
I should have sold my, if I wanted to sell my single issues of The Walking Dead, I should have done it 5 years ago when the show was at its height. You know what I mean? I'm sure those comics have kind of come down in a lot of value, but I don't keep them because of money. There's certain comics I will sell because like I'm going to start going through my collection and probably thinning the herd and actually figure out like a good way to sell them. Because there's some comics I have that are a couple $100, you know what I mean? Like the death of Captain America when he was still dead was worth a lot more than when he came back to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so going back to my old standard, this is like, I always use this as because even people that like are tertiary Magic fans, they at least know or have heard of Jace the Mind Sculptor, because it was like, back at a certain time when we were all getting back into this, it was like the card that broke.
Well, and it was like you could put a name to it. You know what I mean? And
so
and he's
here's
a character.
An example
and he looks cool and like
Here's the example of like the people that could get upset, like, oh, I have Jace the Mind Sculptors and I want to hoard my Jace the Mind Sculptors and they're very expensive. Jace the Mind Sculptor at one point in time for a non-foil could have at the highest 110, 120 maybe. I don't think it got any higher than that. This card was originally printed back in World Wake, which is about 11 years ago, right? Oh, 10. So 2010. Yeah, 2009, 2010, somewhere. So about 10 years ago. That card was originally printed in World Wake. It has since been reprinted in From the Vault 20, Eternal Masters, Masters 25, Mythic Edition version of it, Double Masters, 2 different printings in this Double Masters thing. The cheapest copy you can get of that is the regular Double Masters, which is $60. The World Wake printings are still worth like 90.
Yeah.
So it does lower the value per se to some of these cards a little bit, but it does not devalue them.
No,
totally.
It just ticks them
and
down.
I'm
a
of the
bit.
mind of So going back to that Gaia's Cradle thing, that thing's like almost $600 right now because they can't reprint it. Say Wizards of the Coast decides to totally like lose their mind tomorrow and go, we're abolishing the
printing them all.
Yep. And it's going to get reprinted in, Rise of Zendikar, which is a it would never. That fucking card would literally overnight go from like being like valued at like $600 to like $300.
Yeah.
But I know everybody's not going to be like this, but I am of the mind of, that would suck. And there'd be a part of me that was like, man, I should have sold that back when it was $600. But I love this game and I love people to have and so I want people to have the opportunity to get the cool cards as much as they could. I remember what that was like to open up a World Wake pack and be like, oh my God, I got to do some Sculptor. So some of these people that just got into the game in the last few years that don't have $60, $70, $80 to spend on a Jace the Mind Sculptor for their EDH deck or whatever that they're playing, they might get that same feeling by opening up a pack of his Double Masters and popping one and be like, I got a Jace. So that's cool.
Well, I think
so the secondary market is definitely driven by. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, but I think that there's a lot of people that too are like gatekeepers of stuff for whatever reason. And they don't look at themselves and be like, well, the price of this was cool, but now that I own it, it needs to only go up in value and never decrease in value. It's like, we can't have that. You can't benefit. You can't always benefit from a market. You can't be like the gatekeeper of like, no, you can never make this game again because now it's going to make my shit, not worth anything. And it's just like, that's not how life works. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So, but I get with this
Magic
with a game, it's different. It's a little bit different. Where like a game or a movie, like because we have like Criterion movies that are no fault of us collecting, they're just worth a lot of money for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have video games that are.
Oh, there's like random shit DVDs that you'd never thought that just because they're out of print, they're like a $30 or $40 DVD, and it's like one that you bought maybe 10 years ago, like for $5.
And I'm not going to get mad because they want to make another, like, we're going to come out with another version of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's just like, well, I got the Criterion one. You can never reprint this because it's going to devalue my thing. It's like, you know what?
Well, maybe it might be a better version.
Yeah.
Maybe a new or added stuff.
And what I
I was gonna add something about the Magic cards in the second. So there are sharks. There are people that like this is a daytime job for them, you know, buying and trading and being in the MTG finance. But here's the thing. You can't, it's just like regular stocks. You can't go in all on just this thing.
No.
Magic the Gathering is literally a fucking unregulated form
of what's the market? I asked you if there's financial things, and you go, yeah, there is its own like S&P 500 kind of
like
chart.
There's literally people that have bought out certain cards just to make them go up.
Was that dickhead?
And then they flip them. That dude, that guy that
that guy.
Like made the AIDS drug or something like that, or the HIV drug.
No, he didn't make it. He
he invested or whatever. Yeah. That guy that made it like go up like 500% overnight or something like that.
Shit,
he dabbled in MTG finance for a while there.
Yeah, because that was like his like come like fuck you all. I'm just gonna go over here, and people are like whatever. And like didn't Wizards of the Coast fuck him though? Weren't they like get the hell out of here and pretty much like did some shit or something like that to make
because he was like making it like advertising, you know, like he was
doing it.
He was like not making it a secret that he was doing it. But yeah, I mean, because of the my two formats of choice, which I told you before, are Commander and then Cube.
Yeah.
So they're two eternal formats.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of the formats that I choose to play, I have a fairly large, extensive collection of some pretty old and expensive cards. But that's on me.
Yeah.
If they decide tomorrow that they're not going to ever hold Magic tournaments again or something like that, we will see overnight the great crash of these cards, and they'll be back down to normal prices.
I mean, there's always there's going to be a value. There's always going to be a rise. There's always going to be fall.
This is an argument among the MTG community all the time, where people don't believe that the casuals drive the market just as much, if not more, than the professional players.
That's
why they are all in on supporting Commander. Because Commander is an unsanctioned casual format that a majority of people play on Friday and Saturday nights, and they call it beer and pretzel Magic because it's the Magic the Gathering that you sit around the table with your friends, drinking beers, listening to music, slinging old cards, doing stupid, silly shit and combos, and people love that. And those people may not ever set foot into the competitive arena for Magic, but those cards drive the market.
Every niche, what you think niche, any hobby you're into that you think because you're into it a ton that you drive the market force, you do not. Comics, video games, wrestling. And we talked about this before on an older episode when we were just doing an audio, is that like the shit that you think is important when you're really into a hobby, go talk to somebody else who's also into that hobby, and you realize you guys are like completely on different wavelengths. Like I've been into video games. Me and you've been into video games for a long time. Video games is one of those things that like I know a lot about and can talk a lot about it and shit like that. But then go into a big group of people of casual players and start talking to them, and they're the ones dropping a lot of money on things, and we have completely different ideas of what video games are. You know what I mean? They're playing like Red Dead, and there's a reason why like a lot of those big AAA games do well. Those hit the casual market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're not playing weird little indie games that you download or remakes of shit. You know what I mean? They're like, they're playing those big blockbusters, the shit that's on, FXX, commercials and TNT and shit like that. Like like no one wants to hear that, but it's the truth. The casual audience controls more market than the hardcore fans.
I'll see a card that comes out in a set, and it would just be garbage in standard. Like build your 60 card deck, you bee sting deck, you know what I mean? Like build your 60 card deck, take it to F&M, that card would be garbage. But the minute that like a a legendary creature is made that card would make sense in that deck, you will see that card instantaneously turn into a $5, $7, $8 card from a 50-cent rare.
Yeah.
Because the casuals are driving that market.
Yeah.
Because going back to that whole thing with the net decking and stuff like that, where you have people out there like, you know, your buddy with the blue white walls deck or whatever.
Yeah.
He may get his, you know, teeth kicked in by you, you know, this week, and then he's gonna go on the internet and he's gonna be like, God dang, how do I beat? And he's gonna see that and he's gonna build that standard competitive deck with no intention whatsoever to go to the game store and play at an F&M or go down to like your local Grand Prix qualifier or go to a Star City Games event.
Yeah.
He literally just built that deck because he wants to kick the shit out of you the following week with his awesome, you know, whatever, just won the tournament. I mean, that's how that goes. So yeah, the kitchen table Magic players compromise. And there was some sort of a statistic about it, but they were like, God, if you look at the number of players in like the Grand Prix and stuff like that, like even a couple years ago, and it was like, oh my God, this Grand Prix had like 1,200 players at it. And it's like, you think that that's a lot of Magic players? Just imagine the number of people that are playing this game right now in a camper somewhere, in a dorm room, in an apartment, in the basement of your house, whatever. There is so many more kitchen table players. But yeah, so I'm glad you asked that though because that was a great like segue question, which is, does the secondary market hurt?
That's crazy.
To kind of
made a whole podcast on that.
I want to make sure that I'm abundantly clear. The secondary market does not hurt.
No,
does not hurt Magic whatsoever. The secondary market hurts the end game person that's trying to get into. So here's the secondary market helps Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah,
because if there is a card, like, do you have any idea like how many freaking packs of World Wake they had to have sold? Because that was the set that had Jace the Mind Sculptor in it back when that was still in standard. I mean, every time I walked into a store, it was impossible to find. If I saw 2 or 3 freaking World Wake packs on a peg, I grabbed those suckers because I'm like, lottery ticket. Yeah, there's a Jace in one of these. You know, not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps Wizards. So Wizards tries to say they don't pay attention to the secondary market, which is fucking bullshit. I'm calling it right now. They do pay attention to the secondary market just based on the type of things that they print, the type of cards that they decide to put in the reprint set. So that's neither here nor there. The secondary market definitely helps the card sharks, the traders, the guys that, you know, are trying to work the MTG finance, because it's helping them build the portfolios. But the regular, you know, the younger kid that doesn't have much money and stuff like that, they're basically relegated to, they've got to buy this product, which circles back around to how it helps Magic. They got to buy this product at $4 to $5 at a pop to buy these booster packs to hopefully crack the cards they're looking for, or get enough stuff accumulated that they can hopefully trade for those cards.
Yeah.
So Magic's secondary market only exists because it's a game, and not only is it a game that's controlled mainly by casuals, but it's a game that has competitive for money tournaments all the time. And I'll give you one more example of that, and it goes back to when I got out of Magic the Gathering Online. So they used to have Magic the Gathering Online, and Magic the Gathering Online is literally a digital form of Magic, and you can pay money just like in real life cards, and you can buy the digital versions of your Magic cards online. So, and I had a really extensive Magic Online collection, because back when I was like a pretty decent competitive player and was going to Friday Night Magics all the time, going to Star City Games tournaments, stuff like that, trying not to be a pro, but just trying to, like, you know, win some money here and there. I use Magic Online as my form of practice because I could get games whenever I wanted. The minute that they announced Magic Arena, it was assumed that Magic Arena, which is kind of like more like video game version of it, is going to replace Magic Online. And the stores, the Magic Online stores, they completely stopped even buying. Like you could not sell for a couple months. You could not sell until the dust settled. And they're like, no, we're still going to use Magic Online for competitive tournaments and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Like overnight for 2 months, my Magic Online collection literally became worthless.
Oh, wow.
And so that's an example of how this game is only worth money because people can use it, whether it's for casual play or competitive play. So the thought was, well, nobody's even going to be casually playing Magic Online because they're going to go to this nicer
place,
like Magic Arena, because Magic Arena is so much nicer looking graphically. The sound, I mean, everything about Magic Arena is so much better than Magic Online as far as that aspect of it. Now, Magic Online is still the only format where you can play EDH online and stuff like that. But as far as like the graphics and stuff like that, it's like Magic Online is just so freaking archaic. It looks terrible, but that's how fast that happened. And you could see, like I said, you could see the same thing happen with, Magic, physical Magic cards. If there was ever some sort of announcement that was just like, we're foregoing professional tournaments or starting in 2022, all Magic content is only going to reside in Magic Arena, you would definitely see a lot of that stuff start falling through the like starting to go down in value. Or maybe not, or maybe it would just be it would level out and stay somewhat value, just because it's definitely a piece of nostalgia, because it's like you can't even get these things anymore. Remember when we used to be able to get Magic cards, like that kind of thing. Oh, I did want to touch on one thing I did forget to mention in the last just to button that up with the last episode about Magic, is that so Ikoria, when it came out, they did that weird thing this year where they simultaneously released the commander decks with the Ikoria set. So the commander decks took the place of the theme decks. Well, with Core Set 2021, they brought the theme decks back. So theme decks are good.
With 2021, so there's theme decks back, so I can just go get my green monster deck.
Yeah, no, like the core set 2021 that's out now. Yeah, you can go and you can get a theme deck.
Cool.
They've got a plane, or they call them
Planeswalkers.
I call them Planeswalker deck. Maybe it's Planeswalker, because each one of them has a Planeswalker on the cover of it. Ooh. So, and they have one for each color.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the green one's like harder to find. I can't figure out why.
Of course it is.
I didn't want to burst your bubble, but
I
only mentioned that because I actually had to look it up, because I was like, did they just not make a green one for some reason?
Yeah, you could find
like, did they do one for each color but not green? Because sometimes they do only come out with 4 different theme decks.
Really?
So yeah, but it's a 60 card deck. It's built around that color and that commander, that color and that planeswalker. It comes with one pack. One booster pack of the new product, because the point is that you take that 60 card deck and you kind of have an idea of, this is what this deck is trying to do, and then maybe you open up that new pack and you're like, oh, this would make this deck even better. Like, I'm gonna take out this card, put this card in, and then it has a code for if you download if you have MTG Arena, it gives you that deck in MTG Arena.
Yeah.
Which I'll hit on that real quick. Just I know you don't know a whole lot about it, but just in case we got anybody watching this that's like, want to learn about MTG Arena is I don't know if it's come out on Mac yet. It's supposed to be out on Mac this year. It may have come out. But it's free. It's free to download. When you download it and create an account, you start out with they give you like a pretty decent amount of already pre-made theme decks.
Okay.
And then as you play and accumulate gems or whatever, every so often you can buy packs with your gems, or as you get different milestones, you get packs, and you open them digitally, and you can do your packs. But it's an awesome thing for new players because the opening tutorial, like you play against like a robot, whatever, and you learn all the mechanics.
Nice.
Like, which is cool because like if you try to attack their creature, it's obviously not going to let you. Like it's going to tell you like, okay, now move into the attack zone, and like say that's like your opponent, and a planeswalker, it's only going to give you the option to attack the planeswalker or the opponent. So it's really good. The other thing that's really good about so
it might be good for me to like refresh since I don't.
It's good about learning the steps and phases, but then at the same time, it's also a crutch because certain things happen automatically.
And
so there are players that play a lot of Magic Arena, and then they go to play in real life for the first time, and some of those phases and things that they need to announce, they don't happen automatically. And that but
that's too bad.
Nobody doesn't want to play Magic in the real anytime soon anyway. So
no, you're not going to do that for a while,
which sucks.
It does suck.
I've spent 2 years building that cube, and
well, you'll have a year to
like
refine
I literally told Craig back in February. I was like, I've got just to balance out blue, and it was like blue and black were the two colors I had to balance out, and it was literally just a matter of like cutting a few cards, and that was it. I mean, it was pretty much, you could have called it done. And we were making a plan to try it out, and then literally it was like everything shut down. I was like, go figure. I've been saying for a year and a half now that I'm going to finish this fucker off, and I didn't.
And you're watching things just like slowly shut down.
Yeah.
No,
it's funny, man. I'm glad that we did the two Magic episodes, because I'm like literally like surrounded by like sealed Magic products.
I know you've been waiting to open that up.
Like the Double Masters, I got the starter kit.
Nice.
Nate wants to learn how to play, so I'm gonna bring that into work and I'm gonna show him. I still randomly, from my booster boxes of Ikoria, I've still got four unopened packs.
The only thing that I have unopened is the actual 2011 cards. I have a 2011 pack over there.
Nice. I got the Jumpstart.
Nice.
That's the Keyforge / Smash Up. This is the collector's.
That's awesome.
The collector's one. This is the one that's like everything in it's like baller.
Yeah.
But it's like $25 for one pack of 15.
But
and a bundle.
I'm gonna try to.
I completely forgot that I had ordered this from my local game store, and it just because of the shipping, it had come. But I literally have a fucking Ikoria bundle. It's not open.
That's awesome. Well, that was a crazy episode.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a scattered cast for you right there.
Yeah, it's the quintessential of what we do most of the time. Yep. But that was the episode. Thanks for watching. Hit us up in the comments if you have any questions or whatever. But that was the episode. Like and subscribe. We usually do structured content, but I think this is a good, just kind of like a traditional episode of just talking about random shit that we're into. But follow us, hit us up on all the social media shit, and see you guys later. All right, bye.
See ya.